I'm doing pretty well. I'm bracing for the weather that's around the corner this afternoon and tomorrow and Friday.
Some difficulties with their young one. So this isn't just a conversation for students. This is a conversation for parents.
Good morning, Cindy. What was on your mind today?
Individuals. So Michelle Jackson will be here after the 9:30 news, and then in the second hour, very much looking forward to this discussion. I will be speaking to C.T. Wynn, who is a philosophy professor and the author of The Score: How to Stop Playing Somebody Else's Game. It is a book that is on its the title alone can sound like a self-help book, but I appreciate that, because when you dig into what he talks about the gamification of life, and is it, are you a board game person? Are you a video game person? We'll be talking more about that in the coming hour. But we got a lot going on, and Calvin brought it up just now. According to WPR, the weather experts warn Wisconsinites to prep for the cold this weekend. It has been cold all week, and right now in the mid-mornings on Civic Media, weather balloon is currently 22 degrees, which is actually a balmy 22 degrees here in Radio Park in Racine, and we will be getting much worse. It is going to be freezing cold weather. It's going to be below zero much across Wisconsin. We're going to be seeing wind chills that are going to plummet into the double digits below zero. And I'm just saying that now because I want everyone to prepare themselves. Make sure you get them hats, them gloves, scarves, jackets, wear some long johns. Do what you can do to stay warm, because I know we're Wisconsinites. I know we're built Midwest tough, but there is nothing to be said about not being safe here. We want to be safe. We want to be secure, and we want to keep warm. Just take care of yourselves. Beware. And also check out the weather on your app of choice right here on Civic Media. We got the weather reports all the time. But yeah, we just want to put that out there and say, keep safe, keep warm. So that was just my little, we'll talk more about, I'm sure, tomorrow, because tomorrow that is when it's supposed to hit into the evening time and throughout the full weekend. But we want you to stay warm. Really quick, too, another announcement. We didn't talk about this yesterday, but we're going to talk about it right now. Tonight is the Main Street Governor's Candidate Forum in Milwaukee. This is going to be presented by Main Street Alliance. The Democratic candidates for Wisconsin governor will gather in Milwaukee tonight for the first gubernatorial candidate forum of the 2026 race. Remember, folks, this is an election year, and we are voting for governor this year. So the forum is being hosted by Main Street Action. I'm sorry, I said Alliance. I meant to say Action. My apologies. Main Street Action at the Cooperage in Milwaukee from 6 p.m. tonight until 7:30. And 7 candidates are scheduled to participate. State Representative Francesca Hong, State Senator Kelda Roys, former WEDC Director Missy Hughes, Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez, Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley, former DOA Secretary Joel Brennan, and former Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes. This is all going off tonight, and it will be moderated by Civic Media's very own founder of the Recombobulation Area, our political editor, Mr. Dan Schaefer, will be the moderator of this, and we will have exclusive live stream coverage on our website. So you go to Civic Media's YouTube channel and you can watch the forum happening right there. So you go to Civic Media on YouTube, watch the forum happen. That's going to be all going down tonight, 6 p.m. If you want to be there, it'll be up the Cooperage from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., presented by Main Street Action, moderated by Dan Schaefer, brought to you by Civic Media. So be a part of the process. It all starts right now. We're in election season. Everyone, take a deep breath. Breathe out. We're going to do this together. We'll talk about it together. We'll be informed together, and we will hopefully, Calvin, make good choices. I see Cindy on the live stream. I mean, on the live stream, on the text line right now. Cindy is calling in right now. Cindy, what's going on?
Hello, it's Hump Day today, and I thought, oh, great, it's Hump Day. And then I heard the news this morning, and I thought, oh, no, it's Rump Day because our moron who is not in charge is in Sweden making an ass out of himself.
Well, okay, all right, Cindy. Okay, Cindy, coming in really hot right now. We just kicked off. Yes, he is currently speaking at the Davos. Is at the Davos convention, and I saw a little bit of it during my prep, and he was very much talking, and I wasn't able to catch all of it. Are there any highlights, Cindy, that you saw that were something that caught your eye?
I cannot watch that, man. I just cannot look at him. But no, I'm sure he's over there embarrassing us to no end, like he's been doing with everything else. But yeah, it's so pathetic. I just don't understand it.
Well, that's why. I mean, I know it's going to sound very simple and very plain and very. I mean, I'm not saying it's an election year. This is the year where we're going to be choosing new leaders, and he's not running right now. Well, he can't. Well, by all means, he can't run again, but that's a different conversation. But that brings me right back to the topic of the election. We have individuals who are running for office. We have individuals who are running for re-election, and this is the time, especially in the state, our state elections, state senators, our representatives, the governor, county board, judges races, city council, town council, you name it. But those local direct races are the things that directly affect us as well. And I understand Cindy's frustration. I watched a little bit of it. It's on mute right now, and it completely on brand for what he does when he speaks into microphones. But that only makes me feel more fervent about the fact that we need to have these conversations that we will be talking about throughout the year with candidates, with people who are looking to hold on to their seats, get rehired. So that's where I say, if you see that kind of stuff on TV, just let that absolutely strengthen your resolve to not only go out there and vote, but also talk to your friends and family about who you think are the best representatives for your communities. If you want to find out more, you go to myvote.wi.gov, put in your information. You can find out more about who represents you. You can find out more about your ballot when they become available. We do have a primary next month, February 17th. That will be for the April election. Not everyone will have a primary if you don't have to have a primary, but just be on the lookout for that because you want to cast your ballot when you can and let your voice be heard. And I just, I get that frustration. I get that anger. I get that. On a world stage like Davos, I get that embarrassment too. If you feel that, it's understood. But let that then strengthen your ability to go out there and talk to people and have what can be really tough conversations. And, find out who may not think the way you believe. I had a really great talk this weekend with my friend's dad. My friend's dad, by all accounts, if you look at him, you are going to probably try to assume you know what he thinks, who he votes for, what he does with his life. And I can tell you so many ways that those assumptions would be wrong with him. And so I guess in the long run, now is the time to have those conversations because I think you might be surprised by what people will tell you. Because we're living in a country where the economy is rough, prices are going up, it's harder to afford things. talking about school, talking about healthcare, talking about childcare, talking about, affording a home. A lot of young people wanting to buy a house. They might not be able to. They feel discouraged. Those viewpoints, those opinions and values are shared by a lot of people. And I feel like it's not the time to dismiss individuals based on what they look like or what you think they may vote just because, they have a big burly mustache and they like to shoot guns. They must like this guy. That might not be the case. That's what I found out this weekend, at least. So again, we're talking about being open to the conversations that influence the voting, influence the way our elections are held, and influence the way our community is run by the proper leaders who should be there doing the job we send them to do. But speaking of our leaders, we'll talk about this for a little bit and we'll come back with it as well. In WPR today, Daniel Kading has the byline. This title is Microsoft wants to build 15 more data centers in Mount Pleasant. The data centers are part of plans to build 2 more data centers campuses in Mount Pleasant. Basically, for $13 billion, Microsoft is looking to build 15 more data centers in Mount Pleasant as part of the 2 new campuses worth, as we said, $13 billion. This came through in the Biz Times, and Microsoft's spokesperson said they confirmed the proposed expansion on land they purchased in 2024. As we know, that news came down last year. Very, very big news for Tony Evers, for Wisconsin. And it has a lot of people concerned. I would say 2025 was the year that data centers as a talking point, as a subject matter, really exploded here in Wisconsin, seeing places like Caledonia voting down a data center, seeing Port Washington being too late, the people realizing what was going on and then attending a meeting and it already passed. And when we come back, I want to talk more about a piece of legislation out of the Wisconsin Assembly that seeks to regulate data centers from the GOP. And some people aren't happy about it, and it's not who you think it is. So talk more about that when we come back. And then, of course, after the 9:30 news, we're talking to Michelle Jackson from the UW Career Center, and we're talking about applying for those jobs after graduation. But don't go anywhere. We still have lots more coming up. Happy you're here this morning. Hope you're staying warm. You're listening to Mid Mornings on Civic Media. My name is Greg Bach. Be part of the conversation. 855-752-4842. 855-75-CIVIC. Stay tuned and stay close. Welcome back. Welcome back to Mid Mornings on Civic Media. My name is Greg Bach. I'm your host, your buddy, your pal, your friend in all things, and especially you. I hope you're having a good morning. I'm happy you're here today. Happy that you're sharing time with us. If you want to be part of the conversation, you can do that by calling or texting. The number is the same. It's 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. You can also leave a comment on that live stream. We are currently streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform we still call Twitter. As a reminder, tonight, if you cannot be there, you can live stream it on our YouTube page, Civic Media's YouTube page. It is the Main Street Action, or the Main Street Governor Candidate Forum presented by Main Street Action, moderated by Dan Schaefer, Civic Media's very own Dan Schaefer. It will be a sit-down forum with 7 candidates from the 7 candidates on the Democrat side for Wisconsin's governor's race this year. It's going to be taking place from 6 to 7:30. It's going to be at the Cooperage in Milwaukee. If you can't be there, as I said, you can stream it on our YouTube page, but that all begins at 6 o'clock tonight, and we hope you're there. We hope you're there, whether you're online or you were in person, but this is the start of the conversation. We are in January of 2026, and we have a lot of months to talk about the election. And one of the big topics when it's going to come to the election and when it's going to come to who we're voting for, depending on where we live in this state, is the topic of data centers. And as I just mentioned earlier, there was an announcement from Microsoft that they want to build 15 more data centers in Mount Pleasant as a part of a $13 billion campaign. That was reported by the Biz Times. And reading this here in WPR, Danielle Kading has the byline. On a related note, and Anya von Wagendonk from WPR also has a byline. This Wisconsin Assembly advances bill to regulate data centers. We have been talking about this for a little while now, and there is a bill that's going through the Wisconsin State Assembly on the Republican side. It has advanced that would require data centers and not consumers to pay for related improvements to the state power grid, and also it would ensure that they were using the water properly, using closed loop systems, basically making it that the responsibility is on the side of the data centers and the companies who own the data centers. And what I find interesting is that this bill passed on party lines, but it does not have worldwide acceptance on party lines. So Democrats are not very happy about it because they feel that this is a bill that does not force the companies to use renewable energy sources to power these data centers. And meanwhile, the Republicans also believe that this was put together too hastily and not a very good plan, but it did pass on party lines with only one Republican not voting it. So people don't like it, but they voted for it. I don't really know how to quantify that one. It did have some Democratic support. Jody Emerson, Steve Doyle, both voted for this measure, and Lindy Brill, who's a Republican who has made quite a name for herself last year as a first-time rep in Madison, or working in Madison. She was the lone Republican to vote against it, but it looks like this is going to go through so far. And I guess I want to know your thoughts on this. I mean, it's coming from the GOP side. There is a concern that there was not language in here that was going to create a system where they would have to use renewable energies to do this, that while they have to be mindful of the utility costs and the water usage, they don't have to use things like solar energy fields. And what I think is very funny is that here in the story, this is a quote from Assembly Speaker Robin Vos. It says the GOP bill also says that if data center wishes to rely on renewable energies, the source must be on the property of the data center. And Robin Vos says that is to prevent people who don't want to live across from a solar field paying for somebody else's power needs. Again, Robin Vos, always great when it comes with the quotes, I must say. And Representative Angelito Tenorio, who is a Democrat from West Dallas, says that's the worst part of the bill because it doesn't it doesn't create a system where they have to use renewable energies. It basically says they can do whatever they want, and it locks them, quote, into dirtier, more expensive fossil fuels. I understand that is a problem, and it's something I wonder if we can go back in the future and change, because I think that is an important part of the conversation. I know that the bill that came from the Democrat side from State Senator Jody Habush-Sinekin did say things that there was renewable energy that must be used. Union labor, local labor must be used as well. But that bill did not advance, unfortunately, for the Democrats. But this is what's going through. I know that's a bigger part of the conversation, and I know there are people probably out there saying, no, we need to use renewable energies. I don't disagree with that at all. But right now, the fact that there is some sort of bill in existence that's going to hold these companies responsible for making sure folks like me and you and our neighbors aren't going to have to pay exorbitant energy bills and utility costs because of these data centers, which is going to skyrocket those needs, I think that is a good first step. I'm sorry if that makes you mad, but I think a good first step is better than nothing. And hopefully maybe down the road, there can be something to repair that need, to create a bill that says, nope, these companies now have to use sustainable resources, but also where are we going to be in 5 years with these anyways? Are they going to need something so big? That's another question we're going to constantly be asking is, as data center usage grows and technology advances, will things shrink and will buildings be left dormant because they no longer need them? And then that bigger question is, what do those communities do with those dormant buildings? But again, conversations we are going to continue to have over the coming years regarding this topic. But when we come back after the 9:30 news, we are going to be speaking with Michelle Jackson, who is the director of the UW Career Exploration Center, talking about what are the kids going to do after graduation, looking for that job, searching for that career. What are the steps? Listen to it. If you have a kid at the same position. You are listening to Mid Mornings on Civic Media. My name is Greg Bach. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay warm. Stay close. Good morning, Michelle. How are you today?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well, thank you very much. I hope you're staying warm in this, well, actually 22 degrees, not bad.
It felt like a spring day this morning walking into work.
It's weird when the wind isn't actively trying to hurt your face.
Yes. And when you're adult enough to learn to layer properly.
Yes, exactly. My hair will be fine. I can wear a hat. I'll just comb it later.
Yeah.
All right. So we are at a longer break right now. We come back in a little more than 3 minutes. I'm going to put you into the waiting room. How you doing?
Great. Sure. Fine. I did not register for me that we'd be on camera, so I'm glad I put on a decent sweater today.
You look fantastic. You look authoritative in what you do and your expertise in your field. People are going to love it. It's going to be great.
Excellent.
I'm going to put you back into the waiting room in a moment, and then I'm going to bring the show back, reset it, and then properly introduce you. There is going to be Calvin is our tech producer. He is a guy on the one and two. There he is, right there. He'll be giving hand signals towards the end of the segment like this.
Sure.
If you're talking when he does this, it just means wrap it up, because we have what's called hard breaks, which means if we don't stop, we get cut off, and that's no bueno. So if you see that, just wrap up the thought. We can always get back to it on the other side if we're still in the first segment. But other than that, do you have any questions for me?
I don't think so. Just be my shepherd. Walk me through. Tell me when my mic goes off or I'm talking too long. Feel free to shuffle me along, all that good stuff.
No worries. We got you. It's going to be fun. Tucker told me this is your first time doing something like this?
Outside of campus, right? Like
Yeah.
this is public facing, and I'll be honest,
Then talk to me. It's just a conversation between me and you. It goes by really fast. And
Yeah.
talk to me and act like I'm a student in your office saying, "Help me find a job." So
I do. I have one quick question. Because I can call it out when it feels this way to me. I think I understood maybe between the lines that, you'll set up the context. I'm speaking from the lens of someone who works with college students, and your audience here is obviously probably not college students and maybe other adults. So I can kind of, at least call it out and flex in between. Like, this might be more relevant for younger students and more for adults.
And I'm going to also frame it with a story about the fact that people who are listening to this right now might have college student kids, and all this information is applicable to them as well. So
cool. Great.
All right, cool. I'm going to put you back in the waiting room. We come back in about 50 seconds, and it's going to be great, and we'll talk to you in a moment. All right. Welcome back to Mid Mornings on Civic Media. My name is Greg Bach, your buddy, your pal, your advocate in your career path. So we're happy you're here this morning. It is a blustery, I would say balmy 22 degrees here at Radio Park in Racine. The mid-morning Civic Media weather balloon that's up in the air says that the wind is currently not hurting our faces, but that doesn't mean anything right now in January. Also, tomorrow it's going to get incredibly cold, so please be aware. Please pack accordingly. Keep yourself safe and warm. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. A healthy reminder for you that tonight is the Main Street gubernatorial candidate forum at the Cooperage. If you can't be there in Milwaukee, you can live stream the event on Civic Media's YouTube page starting at 6 p.m. until 7:30 p.m. You're going to have 7 candidates from the Democrat side who are running for governor. Main Street Action is putting it on. Dan Schaefer, our very own Dan Schaefer, the founder of the Recombobulation Area, he is going to be the MC and moderator of the event. But be a part of it. Learn what's going on. Find out what these individuals are standing for, and if they are the people that you want to hire for the job when we vote for them come November, because before we know it, boom, elections will be here. And I got to take a healthy breath on that one. Okay. Coming up in the second hour, we are going to be speaking with C.T. Wynn about his book, The Score, How to Stop Playing. Let's say, I want to say this correctly. The Score, How to Stop Playing Somebody Else's Game. Talking about that in the second hour. We have Audio Sorbet coming up at 10:35. And then, of course, This Shouldn't Be a Thing. It's going to be a great show, folks. And we're really happy that you're here today. And right now, I want to kick it over to our first guest, talking about a topic I think is very important when it comes to the topic of careers. It's the spring semester in college. Kids are going to be looking to graduate, looking for them jobs, looking for a career path. And we thought, who better to talk about that than Michelle Jackson, who is the director of the UW Career Exploration Center. Good morning, Michelle. How are you today?
Good morning. Doing good. Staying warm. We've kicked off classes for the spring, so it's nice to have students back.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, really quick, what does the UW Career Exploration Center do? What is the job? What is your job, and what does the center do for students and
Yeah.
families in this pathway?
Yeah, so I'm a little biased, but we are a very cool career office. Not a lot exists like ours. We are the folks who specialize in exploration. So there is UW Madison is in the great position to have a career office for every school and college. So engineering, career services, nursing, so on and so forth. Our office, the Career Exploration Center, we work with any and every undergraduate student who wants to connect with us, regardless of school, college, or what year they are. And we are the folks who help students kind of figure out the mess of what do I want to do with my life? What kind of careers are out there? What does that mean for picking a major and what I'm doing now with my academic work, and kind of trying to make sense of all of those options.
Yeah. And let's start there. How does one person pick a major? That's in and of itself, I feel like you either go into college knowing exactly what you want to do, or you say, I'm going to take some classes and I'll figure it out. But what do you do to help them go along the way of finding out this might be a good strategy for you?
Yeah, and I think you kind of said it right there, is what's the right strategy for the right person. So we see students, across the board from, like you mentioned, I'll figure it out as I go, to I already have a really clear idea in mind. And then there's that really healthy middle chunk of students who have one or two or three ideas and kind of need to narrow it down, or know exactly what they want to be and then hit a roadblock and have to make a U-turn and figure something out along the way. So at least with our college students, we kind of talk about it. One, individual interest plans matter for sure, but depending on what speaks to you, we can start in the beginning and look forward. So where are you now? What are you interested in? What sparks your curiosity? Okay, let's check those things out and see what are some common career pathways connected to those things, knowing that nothing is an end all be all. Other students really need to flip that script and start at the end and say, where do I think I want to be? Where do I think I want to go? What kind of careers call to me? And work our way backwards to what sort of majors help a student be prepared for or be competitive for that field of interest. And we talk all the time around, most of the time, major does not equal career, and most career paths can be obtained with a lot of different academic backgrounds, because the major is really just one piece of that picture.
I think that's an important point of the conversation too, is that almost demystifying of the whole topic. Because if you're brought up in, regular society, you go to school, you pick a major, and if my major is political science, real smart on my end, but you pick a major and then you are to work in that field. But as you just said, that might not be the case. How do you explain that to students, and more so maybe even parents, that, hey, it's all open here. We're good. Don't worry about this path you've been told you need to take. Let's explore something that might be more applicable for the student, so they will be maybe happy in what they do.
Yeah. So many things to say on that one. So let's see, where do we want to start with influences in our students' lives? And that's a big one. We're a large school. We have students from all over the state, all over the country, all over the world. So there is always a conversation around what's most important to you when thinking about your future. You mentioned happiness. I hope for myself and others to be happy in the work that they do. And for others, that's pretty low on the list. And, something else is a priority. Money is the priority. Job security is the priority. So we do get into, we love those conversations, those around values and what's most important to you. Some of our favorite little tricks and tactics with students, especially to demystify some of this, is, when's the last time you pulled up a job description? A job description that is for something that you might want to do in 20 years. That sounds great to you. And scroll down to that qualification section and find out, oh yeah, it says this major, that major, this major, or other related field. And that, right, that's our opening around, okay, cool. I just have to make a justification for that other related field. And it doesn't have to be only major oriented, right? So skills-based hiring is on the rise. Employers are grappling with this idea that major does not tell the full story. And we need to know what this future candidate brings to the table. What are their experiences? What are their skills? So we spend so much time talking with students about that experience piece. How do you go out and find and get involved with meaningful experiences?
If you're just joining us here on Mid Mornings in Civic Media, we're speaking with Michelle Jackson, who is the director of the UW Career Exploration Center in Madison. And I think, one of the things that may be very daunting for especially a young person, because you're thinking about, like, people are probably talking to you between the ages of 18 to 22, mainly, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure there are people who are older, and maybe if you have a genius who is younger, but that is the age gap that you're looking at. Someone walking into your office saying, I think I made a mistake. I came here because I thought I wanted to be a doctor, but I want to be a lawyer, or I want to do this. What is the added work you have to do to, like, calm them and say, it's all right, you're good, don't worry about that, let's talk about it first? Because there are people out there who, kids, I should say, not just, they're people, kids are people, but, like, I want to make it clear, these are kids who have so much pressure on themselves to go to college, graduate, get a job, have a career, do all the things they're told to do. Mm-hmm. To deviate from what the plan was can be something that is earth-shaking. And how do you, as a career exploration center, deal with that, just the emotion of it all, when they say, I think I don't want to do this anymore?
Yeah. Great question. Not even great question, because it's half the battle. Humans, right? We tend to lean toward the devil we know. So when a student shows up and they're willing to name and say to someone they don't know, I'm a stranger, oh man, this isn't right, and I think I made a mistake. That's a big deal. It's a brave thing to do, and it's a really hard thing to do. We know plenty of humans and students who will just chug along because they feel like they're stuck on that track. So interestingly enough, a lot of the folks in our office have counseling backgrounds. It's not required to do this work, but it's kind of that's what draws us to working with these students, because making these decisions about how you want to show up in the world and what you want your future to look like, they're really big and they are emotional. That's a big part of the data that we're working with. So, just that we spend some time getting to know their story. How did you land here? How did we get here? You got here for a reason, right? You weren't just grabbing at things randomly. You were here for a reason. So let's unpack that and what's still true and what's not true anymore. What new information have you learned where we're deciding to pivot? And what are the options? Where can we go with that next? So really, validating that the thing they're doing already, admitting that something doesn't feel right and they need to put in the time and energy to find some new doors to open can be game changing and validating around, okay, I'm not the only one here. We're all figuring out life together.
Yeah. Now, the other question I have, because I had a conversation with a friend of mine whose daughter is going to be graduating very soon and has taken some different paths in her time at college, but is still now kind of up against that wall of doesn't know what she wants to do with this degree she will be getting. And luckily, my friend is an incredibly understanding, supportive father, just wants his girl to be happy, and that's all he cares about. She's safe and happy. That's the start.
Yeah.
Are there times where you have to have conversations with parents? And I'm asking this question because we have parents listening right now. And if you are one of those parents who's grappling with this topic as we hit the spring semester, do you have conversations with parents about, hey, your kid wants to change careers, here's what we can do together? Or is that not something you deal with? Or do you at least advise the kid on how to approach their parents?
Yeah, so we don't explicitly carve out space and time to work one-on-one with parents. We talk to them a lot during the summer months when students are coming onto campus for orientation and they're bringing their families, their support network. So that's when we get our chance to connect with parents. And parents will call, or parents will join a Zoom appointment at times. Like, we definitely come up with that. But our main thing is what you said there, is supporting the student, coaching the student, working with the student. Generally, they can anticipate, or they've already heard for years maybe, what mom and dad or grandma or grandpa's concern and question is. And so we can help kind of coach their parents around, here's why I'm tackling this in this way. Here's what my opportunities are. Give them some of that language.
That's excellent. And I think that's important for parents to hear because it's I mean, I do not have children, but I can't imagine what they're going through as far as the college experience into the job market world. Because when I was young, when I was at the college graduating age, it was kind of like that. You need a degree. A master's degree would be very good, but now it feels like the game has completely changed. And I want to talk more about that with you on the other side of the break, which is navigating post graduation, trying to find the job and making that happiness work for you in your career choices. But we are talking to Michelle Jackson, who's the director of the UW Career Exploration Center here on mid mornings on Civic Media. If you have any questions, let us know. Drop them in the comment section. Drop them on the live stream. Give us a call, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. More to come after this. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay warm. Stay close. Okay, that was fantastic. A natural, Michelle Jackson.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right, we come back in a couple of minutes. The next segment, 7.5. I'm going to do the same thing before. I'm not going to put you back in the waiting room, but I'm going to reset the show, reintroduce you, and then we'll just talk about, the next steps of his, getting the experience. You're talking about looking at the job descriptions and whatnot, and just, what do you you're the director, but also career counselor as well? That would be your title as well, or?
Yes. And
Okay.
I came up through this office. It's been home for almost 10 years.
Oh, geez. Okay. But let's talk about that too. But yeah, we will come back in a few minutes and and anything from me? Do you need anything from me?
No, if we're getting into tactics, shouldn't be a surprise. I will do a shout out to a lot of my colleagues because we kind of outsource to the other experts for the actual job search, internship search, those real specifics.
Great. All right. Wonderful. So at the end of this one, when we're done, all you need to do is stay on StreamYard. You can turn your camera off. I'll put you back in the waiting room. It's going to allow the video and audio to upload HD style. And then I will remove you from the studio and you will be done. But once the interview is done, once the music's done, you're good. So
okay.
All
Sounds
right.
Good. Yeah.
Excellent. Let's talk to you in a few minutes. Welcome back to Mid Mornings on Civic Media. My name is Greg Bach, your host, your buddy, your pal, and your friend in your career path findings. You are here today. We are on the air until 11 a.m. We are happy that you are sharing time with us. If you want to be part of the conversation, you can call or text. The number is the same, whether you do that. It's 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on the live stream. We're currently on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform that we still call Twitter. Still lots of great shows still ahead for you, including a conversation in the 10 o'clock hour with C.T. Wynn, who is the author of the game, How to Stop Playing Somebody Else's Game. It's a long morning. The book is called The Score, How to Stop Playing Somebody Else's Game. He'll be here talking about the book and just the overarching ideas in the book and how it is. There's so much happening. It's so wonderful. But we are talking right now with Michelle Jackson, who is the director of the UW Career Exploration Center in Madison. And we're talking about just the pathways for people who want to find their career upon graduation, want to change a career path, what the Career Exploration Center does. And Michelle, you said during the Secret Show on the live stream that you came up through this department. This is a place you've been at for a decade now. Talk more about that for a second, would you?
Yeah, nearly a decade. I don't get full credit yet. My background was in mental health counseling. That was always the plan. And I was in that world for a couple of years through a really large behavioral health organization. And honestly really stumbled into career counseling. So in grad school, we had to take a career counseling class. I had an aha moment that really spoke to me. I watched my parents struggle through recessions and career changes and really felt the weight of how that shows up and impacts everyone in a person's orbit. And career is a thing that we're kind of all dealing with all the time, whether or not it's front of mind. And so found my way to this office and have called it home for almost a decade.
And I think that's a very important aspect to bring up too, because you said that your colleagues have career counseling backgrounds, and I say this I promise you I'm not trying to be funny, but there is a mental health aspect to finding a career because I mean, when I was at college graduating age, that was the early 2000s, and the landscape was never easy. But the things I hear people of all ages saying now is it feels like an impossible task to even begin to formulate resumes, cover letters, all those things to start. So what are the tactics you employ to help kids, young people, students, or maybe older folks who are continuing education take that next step to look for a job? Who helps you in that journey?
Yeah, so especially for college students, my number one thing I can tell any student is use your resources. You are probably not paying a small amount to attend a college, a university, an institution of any kind. And of the many things that grants you is access to some really great resources, starting with the humans. Use your academic advisors, your career advisors, your faculty, instructors, all of those adults that kind of swarm around you and you don't really always think about. There's a great book, Designing Your Life, that's really relevant to figuring out career. And one of the things that those authors talk about is radical collaboration, right? Figuring out career in life is not meant to be a solo journey. Tap into those experiences of everyone around you, and those tools and resources that are at your fingertips and available for you while you're in school. Everything from the internship platforms and the study abroad opportunities and the tools and technology, like free AI platforms, lots of great things.
Well, and that's a great thing you just brought up there. AI. How is AI influenced? How has AI influenced this entire process from your job itself to kids getting out there? Because I know that it's about finding those great keywords on your cover letter or your resume that kicks in and allows you to go to the next level. And how are you navigating that aspect of the world now in finding a career?
Yeah, it shows up everywhere. So I think, happy or not, we should all know that we're not escaping AI. It's in everything. It's in every opportunity out there. For career exploration specifically, there are some really awesome ways to use it, really helpful ways. So, let's say we're talking to a student who is thinking about a certain career path. Let's say, I don't know, something in environmental conservation. We'll just make something up. But they don't have any experience in that world yet. They've had a great summer job as a lifeguard or working at a sandwich shop. Those are great skills. Those are important, but they want to take the next step. Hop into an AI platform and find out, hey, this is the subject matter that I'm interested in. Who are the employers or what organizations exist in the Milwaukee area, if that's home, that do work connected to that? And now I've got an updated real-time list of 20 employers who do work somehow connected. And there's a starting point.
Excellent. I mean, that to me, AI is just, that's where I start to feel like a very old man where I'm like, AI, don't come near me with that robotic chat stuff but it can be, if you use it correctly or if you use it with the goal of, positive outcomes, it can be utilized well. It can be utilized for good. And I think if that's the case, then that is fantastic. Michelle, I really appreciate you spending some time with us this morning and talking to us, especially as we're moving into that spring semester. And if parents, if you are out there, have a talk with your kids. Talk to them about their plans and make sure that they have the ability to be open and honest with you. And don't be afraid to have what could be, your kid might not want to be a lawyer anymore. They might want to work in environmental conservation. So just be prepared for that. But that's okay. Let them be happy. That's all I'm going to say. But Michelle Jackson is the director of the UW Career Exploration Center. Michelle, again, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful day and you do stay warm, especially in this upcoming weekend.
Thanks so much.
All right, when we come back, we'll be speaking with C.T. Wynn, who is the author of The Score, How to Stop Playing Somebody Else's Game, on the other side of the break. But don't go anywhere. We got news coming up next, and then more to come on mid-mornings on Civic Media here on Civic Media. My name is Greg Bach. Stay tuned, stay informed, stay close. Good morning, T. How are you today?
Good morning.
Excellent, excellent. So happy to have you here today. Very, very much. Oh my gosh, I can't talk today. This will be fun.
Me neither.
Very much looking forward to our conversation this morning. We're at a longer break right now. We come back in about 3.5 minutes.
Great.
I'm going to put you back into the waiting room, and then I'm going to introduce the show at the top, introduce you, bring you on, and then we're going to just kick it off and talk about the book. Which,
okay,
yeah, thank you so much for being here. Really, I'm very much looking forward to this conversation.
excellent. Are we going to be talking more about games or metrics or both?
I think we're going to start with the games portion, but then kind of like the book takes it into like, the games and then like introduces the metrics. But it's kind of a free flow type of thing in the way I do it. So we just rock and roll.
Super happy to do that.
Yeah. Are you have any questions for me?
No, I think I understand the public radio vibe that I grew up with.
All right, cool. Excellent. I'm glad you said that. It's radio, so we're FCC compliant. All right. Some people don't realize that.
Sure.
All right, cool. All right, we come back in a little less than 3 minutes. It's going to be fantastic. I'll talk to you in a few moments.
I used to think that this was my town.
Welcome back to Mid Mornings on Civic Media. My name is Greg Bach. I am your host, your buddy, your pal, your co-conspirator in all things making yourself amazing. And you are listening to us on the Civic Media Radio Network. You can call or text anytime you'd like. We are currently at the same phone number, whether you do both. It's 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. You can leave a comment on that live stream as well. We're currently on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform that we still call Twitter. As a reminder, tonight, whether you're in Milwaukee or you just want to catch it on the Civic Media YouTube's website, we have for you this evening the Democratic Candidates Forum presented by Main Street Action at the Cooperage from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. It is presented by Main Street Action, moderated and emceed by our very own Dan Schaefer, our political editor. He will be moderating a forum with 7 candidates who are running for governor right now. All of them are Democrats, but they are all going to be there talking about their ideas for the campaign, their thoughts on Wisconsin, and why they think they're the right person for the job. But you can all catch that whether you're in person or on the stream, 6 p.m. tonight. That is the Main Street Gubernatorial Candidates Forum. Check it out. Be part of the process. The election is going to be here before you know it, so just be informed and be prepared. Now, we are moving on to our next guest, an author, a professor of philosophy at the University of Utah, and the author of his new book. It is called The Score: How to Stop Playing Somebody Else's Game. I'm so excited to have C.T. Nguyen on the show this morning. Good morning, T. How are you today?
Good morning. I have just gotten my kids to school and trying to transition from parent brain to like vaguely professional brain, which is always a little hard.
Okay, here's the thing, T. I don't have children. I find it almost taxing every day to go from like kid brain, because I have a kid brain, to professional brain. So we're in for a wild ride today. So let's start off with something here. You are a professor of philosophy, and you wrote this book, The Score: How to Stop Playing Somebody Else's Game. And when I started reading it, I thought to myself, thank God, a philosophy book that I can get into, because I took philosophy in college. I thought I was all about it, epistemology, and I can do this. And I went into my professor's office and went, I don't understand anything they're saying. And you wrote this book in very plain flavored language, but the overall concepts are so complex when you take a step back and you look at how everything is just, as you put, gamified in our world. And that's what you really talk about with this book. Talk more about that and what led you to writing this book for the world, The Score.
Right. I mean, I'm so glad that you found it easy to inject into your brain, because one of the background reasons I wrote this is because I love games, but I also think the philosophy of games is I will just say it in philosophy geek language. I think it's a really good way to think about the meaning of life, about what we're doing and what we're for, because there's a version of thinking about games that I, in some sense, can't stand, that I engage in sometimes, where if you're very adult and you have to justify a game, what you end up having to what people end up doing is saying something like, oh, this game is great because it de-stresses me so I can get back to work. Or this game is great because it like trains me up and gives me the skills. It gives me grit and determination, and it teaches math. And I think that I want to say, and this is a message via a philosopher named Bernard Suits that is an Aristotle message, which is that the meaning of life is in delightful and interesting action, in thinking for its own sake. And this is what games are. For me, what games exemplify at their best, not everything, not every gamification, but at their best, what games exemplify is doing something for its own sake. Yeah. Doing something often dumb, often idiotic, that nobody else understands, because for me, as a rock climber, because doing delicate movement is beautiful. Or solving puzzles, because feeling your brain move is beautiful. And what games show you is that sometimes that's the only point. I mean, one way to think about it is when you're solving a puzzle, it's not like the point is to give the world solution, because the solution is already there. I think that's the essence of what a game is. Games are, as the philosopher Bernard Suits put it, taking the long way on purpose or taking on unnecessary obstacles. So if I buy a puzzle computer game, I could look up the answers online and be done in 2 seconds, right? But I don't. I avoid the easy way. I avoid the efficient path. And what that shows me is that what's valuable to me is doing something, is to be engaged in the action out of my own abilities, my own cognition, my own body. It's about the version of this that we still have is the saying that the journey is the destination. And I think we say this, but we forget what it actually means.
Well, I think it's, in researching all of this and watching some of your other interviews, you talked about it, purpose versus goal.
Yeah.
What is your purpose versus the goal? And they are two separate things. And the rock climbing, you open the book with rock climbing saved my life. And as someone who I would say I am a what would I call myself? A rock climber on pause. I used to do it for a few years, then I stopped doing it. It's something I've always wanted to get back into, but I understood that it's not just even, it's not a metaphor, it's just what you did, but I understand that thing of like when you find that hold that gets you there faster, or you're holding on stronger, and you feel that sense of like, I've done this. That is something that is very, very beautiful, but then you quickly equate it to something of, it became less about doing the thing that make you feel good, instead doing the thing that got you to that next level. That is an arbitrary thing decided by somebody else because somebody else said you have to be like this. We're like, I guess I'll do it. I'll climb this way because I got to get to that number. Right. I have to get to that number, T, or I'm not good enough. And that's what we do to ourselves. That's what kills joy.
We are on the same wavelength. So, I mean, I think this core idea, and one of the reasons people misunderstand what a game is because this is me sounding the most abjectly like a modern philosopher, because they don't distinguish between a goal and a purpose. Yeah. And I learned this from my mentor when I was a student, Barbara Herman, who's a Kantian ethicist. And what she said was, you have to tell the difference between a goal and a purpose, because if you invite people over for a board game, your friends, the goal is to win, but the purpose is to have fun. Yeah. And these are separated. I think a lot of people assume that in a game, if you're chasing something, if you're pushing hard for it, that must be what's valuable. But a lot of the times it's not. A lot of the times, and you can tell, right? Like when you're playing a game with your friend, I think unless you have a poor and hostile temperament, if you play a party game and everyone has a good time and you lost, you don't think to yourself like, I wasted my evening. I think we understand intuitively and deeply that in many games, the thing we chase, the goal, is not why we play. For climbing, I think it's really, I would bet, just maybe this is superficial, but I'm looking at you, I'm looking at me, neither of us is ever going to be the world champion at climbing.
Thanks, man. All right. I thought reading this book to believe in myself. No, you're absolutely right. No. Well, I will never. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I will never be even average. I have been a sub-mediocre climber my entire life. Mm-hmm. The reason I climb is because it feels beautiful and it shuts my brain up and it gets like the weird voices that are always in my head to stop. This is I think everyone now has certain beliefs about me. But I think we know deep in our heads, so philosophers have a term for this. It's called a self-effacing end. This is another idea from Aristotle, that some things in life you can't chase directly. So one example I think is like de-stressing or meditate. Yeah. Like if you sit there and be like, de-stress, relax, you're just going to get more wound up. The interesting thing about games is they're kind of sideways for us to slip into these kinds of things. So if you want to relax, you don't try to relax directly. That's like trying not to think about elephants. It's not going to work. The way you relax is you aim to get to the top of the cliff, for me, right? I climb, I adopt the aim to get to the top of the cliff. Getting to the top of the cliff is the goal. Relaxation is the purpose. And I can tell those are different, and I can tell that my true purpose is kind of the meditative, relaxing flow state, because if I go to the gym and I fail every climb, I still come out mentally refreshed from having like been in this wordless, body-oriented state. And I think the thing that gets really interesting is when we forget the real reason we're doing it. When you start doing something because it makes you happy, when you start playing a game because it makes you happy. Let me back up for a second. I think one way to put it is that in normal life, we take the means for the sake of the end. We do things because we want some outcome. But in gaming life, we often take the end for the sake of the means, right? We chase some goal because we want to be plunged into a process, because we find the process beautiful or satisfying or relaxing. And then we forget. Like we somehow, and this is just a thing that seems to happen to us, I forgot it with climbing, right? I got super obsessed with the scoring system. I kept trying to move up the levels. And then suddenly, like, all the joy and all the relaxation kind of faded away. And for me, this is a kind of a microcosm of maybe everything. That this is a thing that, like, we as people and socially have started doing, where we get on something like a social media platform, or we enter some
when you talk about Twitter, oh my God, yeah.
Tell me about your experience.
Well, I got into Twitter kind of late. Like when people were, I feel like I was on Twitter in the last few years of the good times.
Yeah.
And then it just started all sliding downhill. And I'm still there. I'm barely on, and I don't do it because my algorithm is because I decided that what would be more fun than to make fun of people I don't like. So guess what? More people I don't like so it's just this circle. And what you described Twitter as in the beginning is that what everyone talked about in the early days was like, this is a place to connect, to learn, to have fun. But then all of a sudden, oh, did you see that tweet that got 2 million views? Well, I should do that too. How do I do that? It's like when a boss says, hey, make a viral video. Do it. Yeah. How? What?
Yeah, so this is there's something in particular that happens I think it sometimes happens with games, or it more often happens with gamified systems. And I needed a name for it, so I'm calling it value capture. So value capture is what happens when your values are rich and subtle, or in the process of developing in that direction, and you get put in some institution or some social setting or some technology that gives you some simplified, typically quantified version, and that takes over. Like going on Twitter to connect to people and starting that way, and just starting to notice these likes and retweets and follows, and suddenly having those be dominant. And what happens when they become dominant is genuine connection isn't what is measured by that scoring system. That scoring system measures something else. It measures fast fire, superficial reactivity. And so if you become dominated by that scoring system, if you let that take over and you forget about your original purpose for getting on the system, then you have permitted the system to shift your values and shift your goals. And I think sometimes that happens to us without even our knowing it.
I think that happens in more aspects of our life than we understand. And I want to talk more about that on the other side of the break, as far as the fact that this sort of system is far older than we think, and that we take part in it every single day. And I think what you said is very important, to find that meaning of life. We are speaking to C.T. Wynn, who is the author of The Score, How to Stop Playing Somebody Else's Game, here on Civic Media, mid-mornings on Civic Media. My name is Greg Bach. Don't go anywhere. If you have any questions, give us a call, 855-752-4842. More to come. Great conversation. Stay tuned. Stay close.
I know you're tired. You ain't sleeping well. Uninspired, likely mad as hell. But wherever you are, I hope that road leads you home again to the world you want to live in. To the world you want to live in.
Okay. Oh, wow. That was loud. Hi. Okay. Welcome back. All right. Seriously, this is where I wish it was like a podcast, full blown, like all the time in the world. Cause this is great. This is wonderful. Come back in a few minutes. We're just going to restart the conversation. I want to take it from what you were talking about, as far as the fact that, I think that the conversation, the when you're talking about the rock climbing, it really did stick with me, because it's like that thing of like, you find a thing you like, you want to be all in the world, and then that world says, here are the rules. And you're like, of course I love the rules. The rules are great. I want part of the rules and cool. And then you realize my life is determined by rules. Yep. So yeah, is there anything else you want to cover? Because this is a 7.5 minute. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I think we're headed in the right place. Let's talk about the basic argument about why metrics distract. And if you want a cheerful ending, we can go back to talk about why games are not always as miserable.
I have a final question that's going to be hopefully they'll be very cheerful. So, all right, we come back in about a minute and a half. Great stuff. And again, thank you for being here. Appreciate you so much. All right. Welcome back to Mid Mornings on Civic Media. My name is Greg Bach. I am your host, your buddy, your pal, your guy for all things. That's what I am right now today, and we're very happy for you to be here with us. If you want to be part of the conversation, call or text 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on that live stream. Still ahead, we got audio sorbet, as well as This Shouldn't Be a Thing, so don't go anywhere. We are talking to philosophy professor C.T. Wynn about his book, The Score: How to Stop Playing Someone Else's Game. It is available right now. I now have an audiobook version of it to listen to again. And we were talking about just the gamification of life. But the gamification of life is one aspect of the book. The other side is how through the gamification they take the information and they build on that as far as metrics, algorithms, things of that nature, which sound like very new terms, but really, as you've discussed, this is nothing new as far as how they gather information. Yeah,
I want to strongly distinguish between two things. One is actually playing real games, and the other is gamification. And one of the main differences is that typically when we encounter gamifications, we don't have a choice about them. I think we have this deeply different encounter. Like when I have a board game, I can choose which board game to play, and if I don't like it, I can alter it. Our relationship to the large-scale metrics we're exposed to, Twitter likes, page views, subscriber counts, these are a different kind of relationship because they're presented to us from the outside, and we have very little ability to modify them, right? A student who doesn't like the way GPA is can't play a speedrun variant or house rule GPA, right? Yeah. So one of the things that we need to understand is what happens to us when we relate ourselves to large-scale gamified metrics. And you're right, I got into this thinking, I'm thinking about something that's really recent. I'm thinking about the downside of this thing that's been happening for 10 or 15 years where people are trying to gamify education and trying to put little level ups and point scoring systems into old school processes. When I came away thinking, after reading a bunch of history about the history of bureaucracy and quantification, is that we are at the end stage of a 1,000-year process of movement towards institutional quantification and bureaucratization. And what this is doing is transforming what we find valuable. So for me, this idea we were talking about value capture, when you take on external metrics as your values, one way to think about what's happening is that you're outsourcing your values, right? Instead of thinking to yourself what you care about your particular communicative interaction or what you care about your piece of journalism, you're letting an external measure. You're letting Mark Zuckerberg tell you what to love, right? And the essential nature of this, I think one thing you might think is, it's just someone from the outside, they're going to get it wrong. But I think there's an even deeper problem. And that deeper problem is that bureaucratic quantification, the way that large-scale institutions create numbers like grade point average, is an essentially, it's an inhumane way to generate values. And there's an explanation for this that I found in this kind of hidden scholarship. So Theodore Porter and Lorraine Daston, these historians who are heroes of mine, they put it this way. A quantification in an institution is made to travel easily between distant strangers. It's made to be able to be understood across different contexts. And in order to achieve that, it has all the high context, high sensitivity nuance stripped out. So for example, when I write qualitative responses to my students' essays, I can talk about all kinds of things. I can talk about rigor and creativity. I can use all kinds of dimensions. I can use all this rich language. But that won't travel to someone from the business school or an employer, and it won't add up. The way we make it travel and add up is we create this really thin, decontextualized chunk that we hold in common, grade point average, right? And if everyone understands it the same way, then we can all understand really quickly what a grade means, and we can add it up. But the insight I got from these people, Porter and Daston, is that the thinness and the inhumanity is essentially related to the power of numbers. That is, numbers are powerful because they travel easily between contexts. And they travel easily between contexts because everything that requires high sensitivity and high background knowledge to understand has been removed from them. And they've been kind of narrowed down to this knife's edge of information that can travel easily. So a core does that make sense? So I mean, the core problem
No.
for me of metrics is that you're taking something that's been designed to be understood easily outside of a context, and you're letting that rule your core value set.
Mm-hmm. And I think that that's something that, we just spoke before you came on the show to the director of the Career Exploration Center, and we were talking about AI when trying to find a job. And I think that is a connection to me, is that taking all of your own personal history and your experience, and you have to quantify it into this cover letter or this thing that you're trying to find keywords. So hopefully the computer will find value in those keywords, and then we'll send it to a person who finds value because they found the keywords at values, when really I want to know about the person who has the experience and the thoughts. And I think that makes absolute sense. And I bring it back to what you said very early on about finding the meaning of life. And I feel like we're trying to find the meaning of life in every little thing we do, whether we're trying to cure cancer or watch a YouTube video that might inspire us to take up a new hobby. It's about defining and finding our meaning of life. And that quantitative measure is powerful because it makes you seen to a certain point, but it doesn't make you heard or doesn't make you feel good at the end of the day.
I mean, one way to put it is it makes you easily heard, but to make yourself heard, you have to down translate yourself into this compressed chunk that anybody can understand.
Yeah. I could talk to you for 5 more hours. Really quick, we have to go really quick. How is the chili verde recipe? I want to end with that. It's good?
The chili verde recipe is amazing.
Excellent. All right. C.T. Wynn is the author of The Score, How to Stop Playing Somebody Else's Game. It's available right now. Get it, listen to it, read it, get it in your life. And hopefully we can have you back on the show to talk more about this because it was a great conversation. But T, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, when we come back, audio sorbet, and then This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Great show. Happy you're here. Mid-mornings on Civic Media. My name is Greg Bach. Stay tuned, stay informed, stay close. Okay, I knew that was going to go fast. I knew that was going to go so fast. Like, so many questions that me and Tucker had. He wrote out some questions, and I don't think I got to any of them because it just flowed, but that was great. T, again, thank you so much for the book. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate your time, and come on back.
I will.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
All right. I'm going to put you back in the waiting room. You can turn the camera off. You don't leave the stream. We're going to let the audio and visuals upload to HD format, and we're all good. But you're good, and you're done. Take care, my friend.
Should I click leave studio or just nothing? Just turn off my camera.
Just turn off your camera. You're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
See you.
See ya. Welcome back to Mid Mornings on Civic Media. My name is Greg Bach. I'm your host, your buddy, your pal, your everything to everything you need to be, and we are happy that you are here today. If you want to get in touch with us, the number is the same, whether you call or text. It's 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. You can leave a comment on the live stream. We are currently streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform that we still call Twitter. Again, tonight, if you can't be there in person at the Cooperage, you can live stream the Main Street Governor Candidate Forum for the 2026 gubernatorial race, hosted by Main Street Action, MC and moderated by Dan Schaefer, our very good buddy. He is the founding editor. He's the political editor of Civic Media, as well as the founder of the Recombobulation Area. That kicks off at 6 p.m. If you can't be in Milwaukee for that, live and in person, you can stream it on Civic Media's YouTube page. But we want people to be informed. It will have the 7 candidates who are running on the Democratic side, and we want to hear what they have to say. We want to hear what they want to do for Wisconsin and why they are the right people for the job, possibly. So, again, that kicks off at 6 p.m., goes until 7:30. And then we've been talking about it all morning. It is in the paper right now. It is going to be redonkulously cold this weekend. Starting tomorrow night, it is going to dip below zero, wind chills even colder. So please just keep that under consideration when you're going out. Just put on them long johns. Put on maybe a second hat. I don't know. Just be safe and be warm. We just want that for you today. All right, it is time for another topic. Another edition of Audio Sorbet. We had a lot of good conversations today. So what I was thinking about with Audio Sorbet, the harps. There they are. Kind of want to go with both of our guests here today. So we spoke to Michelle Jackson earlier, who's the director of the UW Career Exploration Center. And then we also, after that, had a conversation with C.T. Wynn, who is the author of The Score, How to Stop Playing Somebody Else's Game. Fantastic book. I really recommend you pick it up and read it, because it really I don't know, like for me, I was reading, there's definitely the side when we're talking about the metrics and the quantification aspect of the world we live in, but it also makes you ask the question very early on, is like, what do I love to do? Why do I love to do it? How do I find the joy in there? And also about trying new things. And I think both guests had that in mind when it comes to what the ultimate goals of our conversations were this morning. Is in the book, The Score. T speaks about trying, like, people who try new things. Like, are you willing to try new games? Are you willing to? Do you not want to do these things? Why are there reasons? But like, it's, where are you in your life with that as far as your career? Where are you in their life with like trying new hobbies? Where, are there things you want to do in 2026? And again, this isn't about resolutions. This isn't about, oh, I want to lose a little weight or I want to quit smoking. Those are both great things to do if you want to do them, but that's not really what we're talking about right now. Are you a person who wants to try a new career path? Are you a person who has changed career paths in the past few years? Why did you do it? Is it because you didn't find the joy in what you were doing before? I mean, I think that when we spoke with Michelle, we spoke about career opportunities, moving on through your life. And I feel like I can't speak for anybody else, but I know for myself and for friends of mine, that tradition of, all right, you go to college, you get a job, you start a family, and then that's it. And you never change, because that's just not how the world works. You've got a career, and that's what you got to provide, and that's what you do. But we're seeing more and more in the past few years that that's not really the case. It doesn't have to be the case. And are you someone who has broken free from that tradition? Have you changed careers? Have you boldly set forth to try something new? Have you decided to start rock climbing? Have you decided to woodwork? Have you decided to indulge in something that brings joy to your heart? And if you have, is it something that, because of maybe you were in a career that you thought you wanted to do, but then realized it doesn't bring anything. That's what I want to know. Like, what is the thing that sparks joy in your heart? How are you expressing that in 2026? What do you want to try in 2026? I know for myself personally that I'm a person who has changed paths many times in just even the past like 20 years. You know, I decided I wanted to go to college in my late 20s when people said, but really, why do you want to do that? Even though I wasn't the first person ever to go to college in their late 20s, many people have been doing it for a long time. But when you say that you want to kind of break a tradition or try something brand new, there can be folks out there who can propose the question of, why do you want to do that? Why would you want to change what's going on? It's fine. I wanted to do that. Went to college. Then I went to trade school. Now I'm here. It's a long path with many twists and turns, frustrations, but also a lot of joy because I just wanted to do something that makes me happy. And I wanted to know what makes you happy. Calvin, I know you're relatively young, but has there been twists and turns in your career path or life choices? And we were talking yesterday about the things you like to do, whether it's reading or video games, but is there things that you want to try or things that you thought you loved and you're like, I'm done with that. It no longer brings me what I believe is that in your world at all?
Well, I obviously haven't made a career change or anything like that, but speaking,
I mean, you did.
I mean, this is my first career, I would say, but besides the point, speaking on what Michelle was talking about as far as majors, I had 4 different majors, and I ended up with 2 minors because I went that far.
Wait a minute, whoa! You have 4 majors?
No. I at one point was declared 4 different majors in college.
Gotcha. I see. Okay.
I ended up graduating with 1 major, but with 2 minors. So I started off. When I applied for school, I was like, I don't even really want to go to school, so let's think money. And I said I was going to be an economics major.
Okay.
Before I even made it to school, I was like, wait, what does an economics person do? So I switched my major so by the time I started school, my major was finance.
Yeah.
After a singular business class, I was like, yeah, there's no way in hell I'm doing this. So I became a political science major.
Oh man.
And that was working for a while because I enjoy the political science classes.
Yeah.
But then it got to a point that's like, okay, do I want to be a lawyer? I don't think so. So
what's to be a lawyer?
The point? I know, but So then I was like, okay, what's one thing I really, really, really love? And that's video games.
Yeah.
So I became a media arts and game development major.
Okay.
That I quickly realized, A, I don't like programming.
Okay.
And B, I didn't like the people that were in the program.
Okay.
I just found them odd.
Okay.
And I realized that I liked music and making beats and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I became a communications major, and that is what I ended up graduating with. But I went so far in media arts and game development and political science that I do have both minors in those.
Wait, you have minors in political science, and what was the other one?
Media arts and game development.
I mean, I feel like it sounds like you could be a lobbyist for the gaming world, but I mean, that's the thing though, is we got to try different things. And when speaking to Michelle, that's what college is there for. And I know for me growing up there, changing your major was almost shameful because you went into college with a goal, with a plan. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to become a recreational botanist for the Midwest. Then you're like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. And I think that's important. I think that's a fair thing to do, to stand up for yourself and your own joy and your own passions. And that's part of what college is there for. It's to find out what you want to be in life. So I did not know all of that. That's all. Okay. Oh my God. Economics. That is.
It did also take me 5 full years.
So that's fine.
No, I know. I'm just saying, it added time to the process.
Well, that's a trade-off. But I would say, in the long run, would you rather have a degree that keeps you happy, or would you rather have a degree that got you out in 3 years and then in 10 years, 15 years time, like, I hate this. I mean, when I went to school for political science, I wanted to be a lawyer. I didn't so much want to be practicing law. I wanted to work in government, and I worked in government after school. And one of the bosses there was like, "Don't become a lawyer." He was a lawyer. He's like, "Just don't do it." And he sat me down and he told me why it probably wouldn't be the right move for me. And I really thought about it. I'm like, yeah, you're right. But I think that's that goes back to what Michelle was also saying too, is that radical collaboration. Speak to people, ask questions, find out what goes into those fields, because you can go and learn about them, but I'm going to use the law school thing, is like going to law school is nothing like becoming a lawyer, and being a lawyer is nothing like law school or the TV shows. It's always different. So yeah, I think that's very important to take into consideration. On the text line, John from Milwaukee listening in says, rock climbing for me is something I'm trying to get into. Indoor rock climbing, that is, he says. I say go for it. I think rock climbing, it can be a bit of an expensive hobby. Once you have all the equipment, it's a little bit cheaper. If you get a membership, it's a little bit cheaper. But I think that's a great way to find, especially if your brain operates in a way that, like, as we were talking about with T, and as he says in the book, there is processes involved in rock climbing that really appeal to certain people. I know for me, that's very much a thing. I do want to get back into it as well. And I think that's fantastic. And I wish you nothing but luck, John. He also said earlier, wow, Michelle, very knowledgeable and pretty great content, guys. Thank you very much. And I really say, like, if you're a parent out there and you heard that interview with Michelle, talk to your kids. Just make sure they're on the path they think they need to be on, and be there and be supportive if they want to change their minds or explore something new, at least. I think that's half the battle for a lot of young people, is that when they want to change their mind, they might be afraid to tell their parents. He also asks, do we still hear from Jane? Yes, I talk to Jane pretty regularly. She's doing great. She's loving retirement, and she misses and loves all of you. Brett and Brown Deer listening to WAUK. I live for change. I've changed my whole life. I've got my degree at 48. I started painting at the age of 40. Art brings me so much joy, but now I'm getting ready to retire. This is the career path I dream of now. I think that's fantastic. I think that's something that, that makes me feel very good, Brett, for myself, because I am 48 and I struggle with trying new things, because I think, well, some people have been doing it for 25 years at my age, so why bother? And I think it's the wrong attitude, because that doesn't help you, and that just keeps you from doing it. So I see things like this. It makes me feel good about trying new hobbies and whatnot. But I really appreciate that, Brett, and congratulations. And I wish you nothing but joy and excitement in your retirement. As I get older, with every passing year, I'm like, oh man, I get to retire someday? Who knows? But that's probably another like 20, 30, 40, 900 years down the road. But appreciate everyone for being a part of the conversation. Appreciate everyone for listening today. But before we get out of here, we got one more segment. It is This Shouldn't Be a Thing, so don't go anywhere. You're listening to Civic Media Mid-Mornings. My name is Greg Bach. If you want to call, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Still more to come. Lots of great programming still ahead throughout the day. We're going to talk more about that on the other side of the break, including what you're going to be hearing on John and Gordy and Pete Schwab out Nightlight. So stay tuned, stay close. Welcome back to Mid Mornings on Civic Media. My name is Greg Bach. I am your buddy, your pal, your friend in science. I don't know what that means, but I love science, so you should too. All right, if you want to be part of the conversation, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on that live stream, and we'd love for you to be part of the day. And the day doesn't stop when we are done, friends. We have plenty, plenty more coming up today, including today on John and Gordy. My screen is all weird now again, so we're going to go find ourselves a new screen. But we're talking about, so after our show from 11 to 2, we have got Tom Hartman. And then from 2 to 5, it's going to be John and Gordy in the afternoon. They talk to Ryan Mahalesko, who is a communications and advocacy specialist with the International Crane Foundation on Wisconsin's new crane hunting bill. They'll also be speaking at with Dan Schaefer, who is the MC and moderator of tonight's event, the Main Street Governor Candidate Forum at the Cooperage tonight, 6 p.m. If you can't be there, you can always catch it on the Civic Media YouTube channel. And he'll be moderating a forum between 7 of the Democratic candidates running for governor this year. It will all be taking place tonight, 6 p.m. You can be part of that. Join us. The process is here, and the race has begun. So that's going to be happening tonight. They'll be talking to Dan Schaefer about the event, then talking to Mike McCabe on his latest Substack post. And then tonight, Nightlight with Pete Schwab, interviewing, I think, the greatest comedian in Milwaukee, maybe Wisconsin, maybe America, Chastity Washington, and then Wisconsinology founder Frank Anderson. So that's all happening tonight, today, this afternoon. Don't go anywhere after us. We're not the end-all, be-all of the network. When we're done, we still go on. We still move forward, and great programming coming up after us. If you ever want to catch us maybe live and you don't have terrestrial radio, get the Civic Media app on your device, your phone. You can download it for free wherever you get your apps. You can stream music. You can stream talk. You can text us. You can call us. You can leave a voice note. You can get your news. It's all right there on the Civic Media app. It is absolutely free, so do that. And as always, as I always say, you're spending time with us. I appreciate you. It is very much noted that you have precious moments in your life and you're spending with us. So that's very much means the world to me and to the entire team here. So, all right, it is 10:55, which means it's time for another edition of This Shouldn't Be a Thing. If you ever have a thing that should not be, send it to Calvin and me via my email address, greg.bach@civicmedia.us, greg.bach@civicmedia.us. This one comes all the way from The Science Focus. The story is from Austria, and Ezzy Pearson has the byline. A cow has been filmed using tools for the first time ever, stunning scientists. Veronica, a cow from Austria, taught herself to use a broom, and we have the footage to prove it. There is a video component to this. In the mountain pastures of Austria, a very clever cow is overturning our view of how intelligent these creatures actually are. A pet Swiss brown cow named Veronica has learned how to use both ends of a stick to scratch her own back. This kind of flexible tool use is rarely seen in the animal kingdom. It has never been documented in cattle before. Dr. Antonio Osura Mascaro of the University of Veterinary Medicine, Vienna, led the study into Veronica's tool use, which has been recently published in Current Biology. They say at first the team gave her a broom brush, expecting her to only use the bristle end. Instead, Veronica adjusted how she used the tool depending on which area needed scratching. I'm of two minds of this one, Calvin. One is pretty cool because Veronica, the cow, is really cute. Cows are cute. And a cow using a broom, give herself a little scratchy on the itchies, that's adorable. The other side, this is how it all ends. We don't need to worry about the algorithms, the robot overlords. This is how it begins. Cow learns how to scratch its own itches with a broom. Next thing you know, we are bowing to our cattle overlords. Tell me I'm crazy, Calvin. I dare you. Tell me that we live in a world where this can't absolutely be even thought of as a possibility now.
Well, if they interacted with the radioactive shrimp we've talked about, then it would really be
that's even, thank you.
But I will say,
yeah,
it's neat and it's cute and it's a cool video.
Yeah.
But on the other hand,
yeah.
So farmers, if you live in Wisconsin, you've seen them. They have those big bristle brushes in their pastures that cows use to scratch themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I don't understand what's completely functionally different about this except for the fact that it's in her mouth.
Well, are the cows in the pastures you speak of, are they utilizing the bristle, or are they just like dragging their bodies along to utilize it? There's a difference.
I mean,
she's using the tool. They are utilizing the tool. There's a difference.
I think there is a small difference. I don't know how large the difference actually is.
Yep. And this is how it all falls apart, my friend. Before we know it, we're bowing to our bulls and our cows. You are our masters, and it all goes down from here. And the robots are way in the background going, hey, I thought we were taking over. And the cows are like, sit down. This is our show now. But that brings us to the end of another edition of This Shouldn't Be a Thing. I want to thank, as always, starting off with Calvin. I want to thank Tucker. I want to thank our traffic department. I want to thank engineering. Without any of them, I'm talking to a microphone that doesn't work. I want to thank everyone who called, who texted, who commented on the live stream, who was part of the conversation, who, as always, gave us their precious, precious time. It is so appreciated, and we really adore you. Without you, there is no us. After the news, we've got Tom Hartman, then John and Gordy in the afternoon, and then Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. So don't go anywhere. Still lots of great programming ahead. Tomorrow, great show. Very much looking forward to it. Hope you will be part of the conversation as well. Really, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Stay warm. You're listening to Civic Media. Stay tuned. Stay close.